just feel like shit is all motion controlled or shooter-ish these days. You know?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It kind of is.
I like those things. Don't get me wrong. I would just like some other shit too.
Yeah.
Not like not my 2 times a year racing games either. You know, like other things, like other experiences.
Well, we had Catherine this year.
Yeah, puzzle. Yeah, it's nice to see some of that, but there's only so much of that you can take. You need 1 or 2 of the puzzle-ish kind of distractions a year. And something different.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of variety out there. I think we have more variety now than we have in a long time. Yeah, we have some shooters, and Skyrim is not a shooter. It's a big open world experiment in your thing. Minecraft came out this year. That's pretty out there. There's a lot of stuff, but I think the big titles, the titles that our eyes are always drawn to, are the shooters, and that's because that's what most people are playing.
Do you feel like there's too many retro side-scrollers?
I think there's too many mediocre retro side-scrollers.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. It just feels like there's a lot of them lately.
Well, that's the easy way. That's the easy route, Especially in the independent scene, that's what they go for.
And sometimes those, 2D side-scrolling platformers are really good. Take Rayman Origins. I mean,
yeah, that's really good.
That's a title that if only 2 or 3 platform games came out in a year, and that was one of them, I'd be happy. You get 3 top-shelf games of some very basic genres over the course of the year. I think you have a lot to play.
I don't know, I'm spoiled, I guess.
That's the problem, is we don't stop playing games.
That's true.
There's how many people just play a couple of games a year, so...
How many games have I played just in the past 2 months, It's more than most people would play in a couple of years. Think back to the days when we were, like preteens and mom and dad bought our games. We would buy, or your mom would buy you, maybe, if you were a spoiled kid, 1 game a quarter. You would get 4 games a year, and you would play the shit out of those games.
Back then, I would always have to rent games.
Yeah, me too.
NES, N64 days, I'd always rent. Just because I couldn't afford to buy a game.
Yeah, if your game, or for some people, it was like the season. You would get one for your birthday, and you would get one for Christmas. And, if you want another game, your mom would say, "You already have a game." Mom, it's a ton of games. But things have changed. Like more games come out now. It's like movies now. Games just come out like fucking crazy. Back in the day, the release schedule wasn't as nuts.
Oh, it's absolutely impossible to keep track of it all. I mean, even relatively big games that I'm fairly excited for, I will miss the release of it. Like, it'll come out, and I'll be, oh, that released? Oh, shit, that's right, I can go pick that up in the store. And then nobody's talking about it again. It's just instant. That's why the week 1 sales seem so important to the industry, I think, is because by the time your game's a week old, nobody seems interested in talking about it unless it's a Modern Warfare or a Skyrim or, some huge overblown production.
It's so crazy.
And then the investment risk there. I mean, can you imagine putting millions and millions of dollars into a project and then having it release and then nobody having any interest in it like 2 weeks after it's out?
Pretty scary. That's why when you have something like a Modern Warfare, that shit's going to sell. You just milk it. I mean,
you're left with no other choice than to milk it, really.
Right. When you look at it that way, it makes sense. You attach that DLC to it. You attach subscription plans to it. You merchandise the fuck out of it. You have a Call of Duty Jeep. You do everything you can. And, I mean, to us as gamers, that seems silly to have all that everything with Modern Warfare on it. But when you look at it from their perspective, they have to make that shit work, and so they do. And what happens to people that make the niche games? Like I play the fucking golf MMO. How many people? I always wonder it's all people are always playing it, but I always wonder how many people play that versus a Call of Duty or whatever. It's fractional. It would be laughable to the Call of Duty audience to see how many people play a golf MMO. But is that more about like business smarts to keep that kind of thing running because it's been running for years? I don't know. That's scary shit. I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. I'm glad I just someone sends me these games. I open them up and throw them in one of these machines here and can play and talk about them. I mean, we have the easiest part of it. You know,
Yeah, we do.
it's such a weird industry. Have you ever bought one of these?
No.
It
No, I've
is.
never bought one of those. That's one of those like game cards you buy at a convenience store, right?
Yeah, you buy the cards, and like this particular one works with thousands of games. But through this, I never really understood how it worked until today. But through their website or through their organization, you can buy one of these cards anywhere, Walmart, convenience stores, like you said, and they don't tell you how, but somehow through that card you can have points or credits in the game that you play, your MMO or whatever.
So they're like a foreign exchange system.
They're as shitty as an airport uh, currency exchange.
Yeah, yeah.
They're bad news bears, man. Like, and I don't want to dump on this one in particular, the Ultimate Game card, even though I had tons of problems with it. It worked out in the end, and it actually worked out better than expected. But what you don't understand is when you get these cards, you're not getting the currency for your game. You're going through like a middleman, and
Yeah.
they kind of do a second or a third transaction that gives you the money that somehow could be. I mean, you're buying a card for a code that gets you another code that may give you another code that you put into your game to get your game's currency.
And every step of the way, you're, generating advertising revenue, and they're taking a percentage cut all the way down the line, or...
I mean, I thought about that. I don't really know how the business works.
Well, actually, I mean, I could see how that would work, because you look at, like, prepaid debit cards and things like that. Now, there's actually a lot of money. You get one of those, and you wind up, it has like $2-3 on it. Well, the companies are so large, and they have so many of these cards out there at any given time that annually that could represent a really, really significant amount of income. So, because you have all these people that have gift cards for like Best Buy. Everyone at Christmas buys all these gift cards, and then they lose the last couple bucks or whatever because they didn't have enough money, and then they lose the card and whatever. And all across the country, that accumulates into a massive amount of money that Best Buy was given that they never had to give product out for. Same thing with the cards. You go and you buy this one universal card, then you go and you can exchange a portion of it for some coins in this game or some coins in that game. And then like Microsoft points, you wind up with those 20 left over. Well, that's their cut. That's where they get their money.
Okay. I guess that makes sense, but like, I mean, for as big as free-to-play MMOs and all these online games are getting, I didn't realize, how difficult this is to use and how it's kind of weird that no one's brought that up. I mean, I did a Google search and I checked forums and thousands of people talking about how stupid the system is. But it's so weird that all these retailers and convenience stores carry these cards and they have no idea how frustrating they are to use. I mean, you think it's just you scratch off the thing on the back and you type in a code and you have points, but no, you go through someone that goes through someone else that goes through someone else, and then and in my case, after all that, it was like no transaction happened and my money disappeared. So I had to hunt someone down and like the email address they gave, it instantly bounced back. I had to go through 2 more email addresses. That gave me a link to a submission form. That submission form bounced back in email. It was a long runaround, and I'm like, am I the first person to use this? Or it was very strange.
Well, I've never known anybody else to have purchased one.
Yeah, I haven't either. So, but they're everywhere, so someone has to, and they work with tons of games, everything from Facebook all the way down to free to play.
Why can't you just buy the funds through Facebook or through wherever?
You
You can?
Well, maybe you don't want to put your credit card over the number over the
Okay,
internet.
I guess that makes sense.
Right.
That's actually a legit point now that everyone's getting hacked. So
That's exactly what I was thinking. Or say like you have credits at a game store, and you want to use that credit on something.
That's
like, hey,
true.
Why not? I have $10 extra credit. I'll just buy this card for online stuff. It's a good idea. It sucks though. The story here is, or the lesson here is to just buy the funds through your game and hope you don't get hacked. I hope that we're doing the right thing. I think about that every day I wake up and I start working. I think, are we doing this right? Are we serving our readers in the best way that we can? Are we giving them what we want or what they want?
And more, and are we listening to them tell us what it is that they want? That's the trick too, in a lot of ways. Because so many times we witness it constantly, as in our position, saying, "Why aren't you doing this, Company A? What the hell's wrong? Why aren't you taking this path, Sony or Microsoft or whoever it is?" We're always offering those suggestions and incensed and blown away by the fact that these things aren't obvious to them and they're not taking the advice. Mm-hmm. And, so you kind of have to make sure that when you're going to do that, at the same time, you're taking the time to listen to the people who are paying your bills and telling you what needs to change. And I think we try to do a good job of that. Maybe we're successful. Maybe we're not. I'm sure people will tell us. That's the advantage, is that when you have an entertainment-based business, you're going to be told whether or not you're doing a good job.
It's so hard to gauge that on the internet, though.
Well, before we jumped on here, I was saying I think the challenge for people that want to offer criticism is that they need to, I don't know if reach a consensus is the right way to say this, but it's tough from our point of view when we're having people are coming from every single side demanding different things that combat each other. There's just, you can't please everyone. So I don't know. I guess that's part of the problem, is figuring out what people really want. Because
our boss told us, what was it, a couple weeks ago, that we had our biggest month ever, highest traffic ever, the biggest that month of the year ever. At all-time high. We're fucking rocking it, and I'm very happy to hear that. I'm proud to hear that. But yesterday, through Twitter, someone said he said that he's going to take a Destructoid off his RSS feeds, which fuck RSS anyway. But he said he's going to take Destructoid off, and I'm like, well, okay, cool. What? Why? What would you have rather seen? What would have kept you around? And it's so weird to think about that and hear that at the same time as, our biggest month ever, the best traffic ever, blah, 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 blah.
The problem with criticism on the internet is that and this is true in most media, I guess, but the people who are the loudest, they often represent such a small minority of people. But they are loud, and so they can puff themselves up like, blowfish to seem like they are bigger. And the trick is trying to figure out, well, what's indicative of, a larger school of thought, and what is just 5 people who have this piddling concern that are just making a lot of noise over it. And that is challenging a lot of the time. And the other thing too is that people are always really, really quick to, jump out. And that's not, not to say that I'm complaining like, oh my gosh, people are so down on us all the time, because we get tons of great praise all the time. But I find that when people are talking about things other than us, they very frequently are quick to whip out criticism of something that they dislike, but less frequent to place praise on something that they see positive. You can see it just in comment counts. So I have to try and wait at the same time how many people are just being quiet and like it and not saying anything.
Yeah. Yeah, think about, fuck, there's probably 50 sites on my personal blog roll, from everything from like dogs to like photography to tech to video games to whatever. And now that you say that, I probably never said a damn word to any of them about anything that I've liked or disliked. I wonder how much of our readership is that way. I would like to think that our readership is very vocal, and that's what I love about writing for this outlet, is that someone wants something or something needs to change or they like something, they tell you directly. We have that direct line of contact, which I think is really rare. But yeah, like I said, now that I think about it, anything that I read on a daily basis, I've never. Maybe I should take tomorrow and say, hey, I really like your website. Great reporting. I love your photography, blah, blah, blah. Your dog photos are the fucking best I've ever seen.
You'd certainly make some people happy.
I might do that. I'm not just saying that. I really might do that.